I'm never going to know that Jeff is ready to play the song.
That's true.
Never
Whether I'm
ready
ready
to
or
play
not,
the song. Jeff is never. He is
So you know what, Jeff?
32 episodes, never been ready.
Jeff,
never
just
been
play the
ready.
song. Just play the song.
I have no idea whether we're recording or not. Welcome to Everyone Racers, a podcast designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. Whatever kind of LeChamp or track dog you run, SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate. We even think you Drifto Hell Flush guys are all right, as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussion, tips, tricks, news and notes from the world of low buck racing, and if you can handle it, Chrissy will give you just a tip. I'll be your pit marshal. Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm mental.
And we are Everyone Racers. Thanks for coming back and listening to another precision-crafted episode of our podcast. We're up to number 32, which seems kind of insane, but we're back and with another great list of things to talk about. So what you working on, Chris? I know what you're working on, but you can tell me anyway.
This is going to take a while, right?
I was going to say, you live there, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
What you're working on is going to take a while this week because it's back to car work time, and I got a whole heck of a lot done.
What? Yay!
So we had a fake summer here for a couple days here in the Northeast. It was 80 degrees on Friday and Saturday, so I decided to take Friday off because it's just too nice not to. So I got up early with Chrissy, and I went junkyarding. Started the day at 8 o'clock at the local Easy Pull and Save up in New Ringgold, Pennsylvania. And for $73, I got all kinds of stuff. I go in there with my hand truck with a bucket of tools and things and a bunch of bungee cords. And eventually, as I kept pulling stuff off, I just strapped it to the hand truck and kept going. So I ended up with 2 more trailing arms for the Civic, another set of front knuckles, wiring harness plugs, a subwoofer for the Suburban.
Nice.
I got a couple of Isuzu badges to put on the on-brakes. We didn't have any of those. I don't even know, like a dead pedal for the Civic because Chrissy.
Oh no!
Oh my God! I'm so excited.
That's in my part. You're taking my stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Stop talking about.
I bought all of these things at the junkyard, and I was done by noon, and it was $73. I had a great time. It was a nice day. There weren't that many creepy people at the U-Bullet, so that's always nice. I guess a Friday morning's a good time to go.
Were you counting you? I mean, how creepy were you while you were there? Let's be honest.
I'm only modestly creepy. I didn't have Mental's ridiculous mustache or anything. So, so anyway, junkyard.
How about your
wonderful.
welding shirt? Did you have that on? Because
No,
that
I did
increases
not.
your creepiness.
That welding shirt has been retired to rags.
Oh, but you did have your old Carhartt sweatshirt on, which is pretty dirty.
I took that off pretty quickly. I had my ridiculously torn up brown Carhartts on. So I did look only mildly homeless.
Well, because you have to have junkyard Carhartts because she got you the new Carhartts for Christmas. You can't wear the new Carhartts.
But I was driving the Mazda because I didn't want to drive the Mercedes to the junkyard.
Are you adding this to? This is why you look less homeless or more homeless because you drove my car to the junkyard.
Yes.
Well,
it was full.
Where was the Canyon Arrow?
Well, it gets 12 miles to the gallon empty. I would rather take the Mazda. It's much more fun. This is all through
Mazda
back roads.
is a truck.
Yeah.
Does that mean
Anyway.
Chrissy gets to drive the NSX to work?
That was before the NSX made it there. So, yes.
Well,
the
NSX just got home. And so that's what I worked on Friday afternoon and Saturday. I put in all my new suspension. I got a set of used Bilstein shocks and Tyne springs, already mounted together, already with top hats on them for less than the shocks would have cost me. And they had about 5,000 miles. They look brand new.
And how do they look on the car?
Hot. Oh,
it has just enough drop. It looks really nice.
It has exactly the ground clearance in the front of my 4 fingers put together. That's how much clearance.
Whoa.
I mean,
in the weeds, yo.
The roof is below waist level.
Wow. Okay, so I got a question.
Yeah.
Tyne Springs? I always thought it was Teen Springs.
I don't know. It's Japanese.
Tein, right?
Yeah.
Green?
I always thought it was Tyne.
Okay, I believe you.
Here's the thing. We all know what he's talking about. Not a one of us irons the brim on our hat, so who gives a crap?
Yeah. So anyway, got all that in and adjusted the driver's window was slightly out of adjustment, so it wouldn't seal under the top, and then above 75, it would kind of pull away a little bit and get a little wind noise. So, of course, everything's adjustable in the NSX, so I took it all apart, cleaned it, adjusted it. Seems to be fine now. And then did a proper alignment for that car on Saturday. Got our Flying Miata Paco Racing hub plates out with the laser kit. Got all 4 of them on there, and everything.
We had to
adjustable.
find some
wheel spacers. Yes,
wheel spacer plates. I went to the local flaps.
The offset on the hat on the brake rotor on the NSX is almost nothing. So when you bolted the hub plates onto the hubs, the stand part would actually hit the rest of the rotor. So right. So Chrissy went out to the flaps and got me some spacers, and then for the backs, I made some out of washers and things that worked. So it got it far enough away, and that was fine. But it took a long time.
What's a flaps?
Effing local auto parts store.
Auto parts store.
How have I never? I love
You've
that.
never
How have I?
listened.
Wow.
At least a Jeff vernacular, if not more.
I love it. That's
that's something I thought you would have known.
I mean,
Anyways.
fine question to ask because we're using our 3PN M-isms, so we might as well tell everybody else what we're talking about.
So the flaps had one pair of spacers, made it work, but everything on the NSX is adjustable. Camber, caster, toe, you name it, it's all adjustable everywhere. So it took a long time. So anyway, got that done, and then did a lot of work with Chrissy and Jim, who were both here working on the Civic. And then since then, I've been porting the head on the Civic. I've been doing 2 hours a night. I'm about halfway through the intakes right now, and I did the combustion chambers already. So it's a lot of work, but hey, this is race season. Car work is happening.
That's the Hero motor, right?
This is the old Hero motor. The one that has 20,000 race miles on it. And the reason I found it lost compression after all those years is that it had cracked a valve on cylinder 4 almost all the way through to the center.
Who said last week? Do you think it's the valves?
And I said, I don't know. I haven't taken them apart yet. The exhaust valves were all junk. The intake valves
definitely were.
The exhaust ones are junk.
I saw the picture of that. That was fantastic.
Okay.
Mental, what are you working on? He's chewing. Chrissy, what are you working on?
He's working on that bag of chips is what he's working on.
No, Jeff, you go next. Go ahead. What are you doing?
I'll go. So I am entering the silly season as about 3 weeks of the semester where I just can't even get away from it. So I missed working on the NSX, and trust me, I missed it terribly.
Jim got to drive it on all kinds of fun back roads with a top off. And it was a nice night.
It's terrible. I was stuck in New Jersey, but don't cry for me, Argentina. I got to work on our car club had a car show at my college, and last year we got 40 cars and it rained, and this year we got like 350, and we were completely unprepared.
That's impressive.
Yeah, we outgrew every parking lot and the parking space. Finally, we blocked the road to campus for like 2.5 hours. Poor New Jersey Transit bus couldn't get into the stops. We actually had a really good time, and it was some guys in Mustangs were revving and trying to kill people, but other than that, it was fun. And I managed to convince everyone to give a absolutely perfectly restored E30 M3 the best Euro award, and so I was excited. They listened to the old guy for once.
Well played.
Yeah, so I was going to, because I had a brief time off, start working on the Ombre, which lives in my enclosed Black Magic trailer. But when we tried to move it with the tow pig, there was something clunking in the back. So I was like, I better check that out.
Because it's all rust.
It's all rust. It's rust holding together with rust. It sounded
hopes
like
and dreams holding the rest together.
It honestly sounded like the spare tire was loose. So I said, well, this will be quick. Maybe it's a shock. Maybe it's an inlay.
You're so hilarious.
Yeah. So it turns out that the spring shackle was completely rusted apart, and the eye bolt to the spring was just resting on the bottom of the body.
Non-existent.
It was terrible. Absolutely terrible. I got to
retire that so I can have the engine and transmission for my
And then we sent Jeff a picture of what that's supposed to look like.
Yes, we did. We sat under ours.
Supposed to look like.
We just did that anyway.
I did buy the parts. I did come home early on Wednesday with some daylight and try and wrench on it. Or it was Monday. I tried to wrench on it, or Tuesday. I can't remember what day it was these days.
Doesn't matter.
so much. It doesn't matter. Nobody knows what they were recording. It was 2 days ago. So I pulled the bolts off. I've been weasel peeing it, by the way, for those of you who don't know. That's WD or PB Blaster or whatever you got.
Kroll
Croyle. I love the Croyle. I'm the only jerk off who bought the Croyle, but I love it.
I like the one can that went off entirely in the back of your Yukon when you put something heavy on it.
Oh, it smelled wonderful. But anyway.
I mean, the Yukon just smelled bad anyway.
Anyway, yeah.
That was actually an improvement because now it smelled like something was getting done.
Exactly.
Aww.
So I busted one of the nuts off. It came off easily, and the bolt is sitting there.
Just keep drinking. Don't even go there. Don't even go there, Abbott.
You all know what I'm saying. Just keep going.
Keep drinking.
Listen,
it's fine.
It's my story, everybody. The bolts are longer than they can come out. I can't figure out how to get the bolts out. They're totally rusted. They're totally frozen. The bolt heads are only like half the depth of a regular bolt, so I can't even get a wrench on it. I actually punted, and I'm taking the tow pig to a friend who is a professional mechanic, and he is going to take it off.
Light it on fire.
Yeah, right?
He probably should.
Get the sawzall out.
Yeah.
Your new Google video search is Tow Pig Love Fest.
Yeah, it's going to be bad. Well, I mean,
Sadness.
I don't have really any time off, and I need it back. And this is the part that I mentioned. The Ombre is in the enclosed trailer against the garage, so I can't take it out unless I have a tow pig. It's terrible here. It's there's nothing happening.
I have your weight distributing hitch here too. We left it here when Mental was taking the
I
trailer.
wondered where it was.
So it's sitting in the garage, and we forgot to give it to Jim when he left.
Right.
For the want of a nail.
So two more quick things. I got the hibernating Corvette back awake. I hate push button starters. I think they're the stupidest thing on the planet. It's like can't figure out whether it's trying to turn on or I'm trying to turn it off. Screw that GM. Just put a key on it.
If the engine is running, you're trying to turn it off.
No, because it doesn't know. And then our head and neck restraints are returning from recertification in California.
Yay.
Are they bringing Citrion paperwork or taxes?
No. That's it. I'm done. I'm out.
Taxes are done, actually.
Taxes are done. I paid the taxes. Yes.
All
All right, Mental, are you not eating chips? Go ahead.
No, I'm not eating chips now. So while you fine folks were all retching on cars, Mrs. Mental was celebrating her 29th birthday. So we went back to New Orleans, except this time no race. We stayed at my good friend David, the lead NASA instructor for the Mardi Gras region. Stayed at his guest house in the Garden District. It was fantastic. And so we went to the French Quarter Fest. Jeff has a snarky comment.
I do. I just want to mention that my mother turned 29 at least 15 times. So was this Mrs. Mental's first 29th birthday? You don't have to comment on that.
I don't even think you can go do that.
Seeing how I'm middle-aged, that would actually make me,
creepy.
Super creepy.
Exactly. But we went down there, and it was we ate like kings. We actually did an escape room. Have you guys ever done one of those?
In a video game on my phone, but
Yeah.
No. Go to an escape room. It is, Chrissy.
Oh, so we played escape room this weekend. Jim brought in a box. And
No. I mean, and I'm not saying that wasn't cool, but yeah, go ahead.
It was like that. It was a
like
board
game. Board.
Yes.
You mean
you
an
had to
actual one?
solve
We get it.
Open doors.
And that was the level I was expecting. Like they put you in a little closet and there's little clues and you'll figure out the mystery. But as we start to go through it, like I turned a picture on the wall and all of a sudden half the wall gave away and there was all this mechanical stuff. It was really, really cool. So if you guys are down in New Orleans, go to Escape My Room. They have 6 different levels. Wonderful host. It was a fantastic time. And we had a great time, and we're going to be doing that again. So outside of that, I've been doing yard work, and the reason we're recording on a different night that you don't know we're recording on a different night is I had to drive the Lady Eagles soccer team last night, so I appreciate you guys flexing to this. Go Eagles! And that's what I've been doing all week. And Eagles! I got to drive the baseball team tomorrow to our rivals across town to Cherokee. Chris, what you got?
I think we're missing a franchise opportunity here of Escape My Lemon. We trap someone in a terrible lemon situation, and they have to find a way to fix it.
In the car?
It's a great bribe.
Future stream discussion. Future
Yeah.
theme discussion.
Yes,
We
you
just gave it out.
Crafted
something-
Lemon's car as punishment.
Something terrible is broken. You don't know what, and you can't get back on track until you fix it. That's called every Saturday.
And then like I just fill up a super squirter full of gasoline. And you just like shoot it on their pant leg. They're like, "Do you smell the smell? Do you know where it's coming from?"
It's on you. Okay.
That is a
awesome.
great idea. Escape.
I'm gonna
Chrissy,
go.
get us out of this. Tell
Okay,
us-
so I'll have to go quickly because y'all just spent a whole lot of time on your
I
stuff.
told you it
So
was going to take a long time.
we are not doing an hour tonight. It's going to go a little long.
So last weekend, I worked while Chris went to the junkyard. I was very jealous because it was beautiful out and wish I was there. But some of us have to pay the bills. Oh, no, we both pay the bills, but I just have less time than he does. So when I got home, all day Saturday and Sunday, we worked all car work all the time. So I did some general cleaning, put the new dead pedal in. Shoot, that was my thing. I'm so mad that you took that. I was
That's all right. Well,
so
you installed
excited.
it.
I did install it. I was so excited. So I uninstalled and installed some bushings, reinstalled some trailing arms, brake pad, and flush. And so we did a lot of car work, and it was awesome. Really productive weekend with the three of us, with Jim and Chris and I. Yes.
Can I say that I have been asking for a dead pedal in this car since we debuted it,
I know.
and I am so
I know.
excited because
I know.
there was that bolt that stuck out right where the dead pedal was supposed to be, and it would stab my foot. I'm
Well,
just
that's why
very
I put
happy.
that's why I put the washer on it with the big fender washer so you wouldn't stab your
know,
foot. But
I know.
I couldn't find a dead pedal. Nothing in a junkyard had it. And then I finally was at this Integra that I was pulling the knuckles off, and I looked at a dead pedal, and it was there. So I pulled it, and that was the most exciting part of the trip. And I'm sure they didn't even charge me for it because who wants that? But I got a
really,
dead pedal.
When I asked
not
Chris,
the
I was like,
unobtainium hubs, not any of the weird
Nope.
stuff. No, the dead pedal out of an Integra.
Chris was like, oh, I got these extra trailing arms, and I got this, and I got this, and we can change the bushings for this, and then I got a dead pedal, and I was like, what? I was so excited.
Jim had almost the
Cartoony
same
eyeball.
reaction.
What?
That happened. Okay,
Oh
and
my
lastly, I have a big event coming up this weekend. It's our neighborhood cleanup event, and that's on Saturday morning. So weather's going to be awesome. It'll be great. 20 groups that are cleaning my park and all the parks and all of the areas in my town. And I'm doing
You got to
logistics
say
for
Parks
that.
and Rec so everyone can have their Nick
Oh,
Offerman.
it's the Birdsboro Parks and Rec. Woo!
Nick Offerman. Okay.
Happening.
News and notes time. Mental.
I want to ask Chris, when did you get the plant above your head? That shelf is new.
A couple weeks ago, you just haven't seen it. You've
Fair
not paying
enough.
attention.
I
Here, I'll
couldn't
I'll
go
change
over
the angle of the
News
computer.
and notes.
There you go.
So, folks, we, all four of us, unfortunately missed the Joliet jailbreak, which was sponsored by Yokohama Tire. # they should totally sponsor us. And our friends over at Lemons Racing. So there was some interesting stuff. Now, a previous IOE winner, Team Anarchy, they had a battled scarred Dodge Shadow. They showed up with an automatic PT Cruiser Turbo. And to quote Eric Rude, it looked exactly the way it looked on track as it did when they pulled it out of somebody's backyard. Somehow that thing finished. Team Orca, do you guys remember those guys? They've raced a couple different big things. Well, they had a Caprice Classic. It finally died a horrible death, and they decided to take the entire drivetrain and cram it into a first-generation RX-7 complete with like shorty header pipes. It was just unbelievably loud. They had some teething problems with it, obviously. Bad decisions
Is that
racing.
like a
It's been
4.6 in there, probably?
No, it's a Caprice. It's an LT1.
Oh,
he's 5'3", yeah.
LT1, baby.
All day, every day. Which is, by the way, I would like to take this moment to tell you that everyone at Everyone Racers always heartily endorses the GM tow peg.
not Jeff this week.
Not Jeff this week.
You're not really.
You're the one who bought an avalanche off Long Island.
It's very hard to find.
Speaking of buying an Avalanche on
A place
off
called
Long
Texas. They
Island,
have lots of trucks.
Bad Decisions Racing had their 1947, or as Eric put it, maybe a 1948 Plymouth Crown. They introduced a new Crown Vic front suspension, which I blame Aaron Kaufman for, formerly of Gas Monkey Garage, because he would put Crown Vic suspension
front and everything. Absolutely.
It's
So-
a complete unit. It's aluminum. It goes in everything. The geometry is not tragic. So
and it comes with disc brakes. Yeah. And so the big one for me that none of you care about is The garbage red car Motorsports debuted a Honda Civic Del Sol, but here's what matters. It was a high school shop class, which adds more credence to my argument, to my high school shop teacher, that we should totally convince his students to build us a race car so that we can go racing and sit around and watch them. Nope, check that bolt again there kind of deal. And then, yeah, you should have built it better. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had to rip the transmission out of it. So I'm looking forward to that slave labor. That's going to happen. Get into the actual stuff that matters. So you got Team Sheen Acura.
That was the stuff that matters.
So Team Sheen's Acura Integra. We've run against those guys, haven't we? They I want to say Summit Point.
Somewhere, yeah. I think Summit Point.
Barber.
Maybe New Jersey.
Was it Barber?
Okay,
Barber.
Team Sheen. Good bunch of guys. They run an Acura Integra. It's clean. It's a fast car. They managed to beat the Landshark Honda Civic, which is really just a Honda Civic sitting on top of an Acura Integra with a BMW grill on it, by a single lap. So that's got to be heartbreaking. And somebody did the research. I think it was Eric, and he dug up that Landshark Racing has won or come in second by a closer margin more than any other team in limits. And we raced with them years ago when I was running with Team OK Speed in 2015, the true 24-hour they did at Autobahn. And those guys are just phenomenal drivers. They're great guys. They were really generous with their paddock space. And I do hope one day they win a race because they're good dudes and they know how to drive. The third place car was the Knights Templar in a Dodge Neon. And that car had actually been a previous A-class contender, but the new guys couldn't drive it, so they gave them a Mercy B-class. But now that they've come in third and won B-class, in your Steve McDaniel voice,
welcome to A.
You'll never see. Yeah, welcome to A-class. So, and what was nice is the Team Heroic Fix went to the team, the Nice and Slow Autosports NASA Racing. They had a Ford painted up Saturn. They went through tech with an engine rod tearing.
Oh, no.
They passed tech, parked it, yanked the engine, went and got an engine out of the junkyard Friday night, right as the temperature drops to freezing and it starts to rain. Got the engine bolted in, actually only missed a couple of laps of the green flag and finished the race. So they got a well-earned heroic fix. Moving on, American Endurance Racing is at the Glen this weekend, and I know you guys love to make fun of American Endurance Racing, but go to their webpage and check out their new Spotter's Guide, because what they've done is they do profiles of all the cars, and they do them in the livery that you'll actually see them, so you can actually use them to look at the race. So some of the cars of note, Big Red. Yes, go Don Sykes. I know he's a listener, so Big Red will be there. I don't think it'll be a contender because it's mostly arrive and drives, but Big Red. The great thing about Big Red is there to ruin everybody else's day. How's that ugly car so fast? The Nautomechanics are bringing their three of their IMSA Caymans. FCP, they've got a FCP Euro. They sell Mercedes parts. They've got a 300C with a manual transmission conversion. It's always a strong car. They're good guys, and some of those guys actually race Sebring. So that's some different stuff. 395 Cardinal Racing E36 M3, quick, well-driven car, and Lemons veterans, our friends, the Keystone Cops, in their Volvo 240, number 240. So give that one a watch this weekend, folks. That's all we got for news and notes.
I'm going to do one quick one. Federal judge recently ruled, I think it was earlier in the week, that Uber drivers are contractors and not employees, which means they don't get minimum wage protection, they don't get overtime or benefits. Mostly this came out of a lawsuit from a bunch of Uber black drivers because they have more restrictions on what they can do and they get paid more per mile. So they were trying to put in a bid that they were actual employees, but federal judge said no, so there it is. You're still not an employee.
Fair enough. Speaking of not employees, our sponsors, Extreme Experience. And Extreme Experience will put you in the driver's seat of the world's best supercars at over 20 racetracks in America and Canada with no speed limits, no shifting restrictions, and no governors. Head over to xxspeed.com to choose your supercar, find a racetrack near you, and start making a story of your own. 7 models of exotic cars to choose from, 20-plus racetracks in a year-round location in New Orleans, Louisiana with a 3,200-foot straightaway. Tell Alex Mental said hi. You get pro instructors like me, Chris, or Jeff in the car with you, helping you explore the car's limits and learning how to drive the racing line. Save 25% when you use the code EveryoneRacers. That's EveryoneRacers, all one word, at xxspeed.com to book today. And you could book at Atlanta Motorsports Park, where I will be working the next 2 weeks. So, Extreme Experience, it's your turn. And you know who else, in a totally non-condescending manner, should always get a turn?
Oh, gosh.
Chrissy's
mom. Chrissy's mom, absolutely.
Hi, Chrissy's mom.
Okay.
Listener number 1.
Okay, right, pretty much. Okay, so are we ready to do this main topic here?
I'm so ready to do this topic.
Let's do this awesome thing. Okay, so last week we talked about the best tracks, and this week we're going to focus on the worst tracks. So sometimes you go to a track because you love it, and then you put up with the parts that you hate. Or sometimes you just decide that you're not going to go there anymore. So we're going to discuss the failing points of some of the tracks we've been to. Okay, first topic, least favorite track, and Jeff is going to start.
Oh, I am. Let me sing down to my stuff here. Least favorite track for me. Last week I said Summit Point Shenandoah was my favorite. I'm going back to Summit Point, and I'm saying Jefferson. I do not like Jefferson. It's not good.
It sucks.
It's not. But it does what is, to me, the worst sin of a road course. And near the end, before you get to the last straight, there's this giant open flat space, and you have to like swing around. It's a big wide sweeping turn, and you're like, no, I could just drive straight across the grass and be there already. This was like Gran Turismo. I would never take that turn. So that is the word. Like, I'm just telling you, the track should follow the undulations of the actual land. And when you just have a field and you go around a big circle, you suck.
I love it.
All right. Well, I think my least favorite track is going to be no surprise to anyone that's ever been there, and it's loosely called a track. We're going to bring up Englishtown, New Jersey.
Yeah,
now,
see, I didn't even consider that a track. That's why it wasn't mine.
It is so incredibly tragic that I thought it needed a special mention because of how tragic it is. Englishtown it's a fine drag strip, and except that now that they're not using it for a drag strip, they're using it to park diesel Volkswagens.
It's a good motocross
Are they really?
course too.
Like, that's really what they're doing?
Yeah.
That's why they closed the good part of Englishtown.
Yeah.
I thought it was a car part that there was, co-part was there.
They're making more money by parking things on it, apparently, than anything else.
Yep.
Wow.
So, anyway, it's the air quotes road course they have there is the most tragic piece of pavement I've ever even seen that they call a racetrack. Not only is the surface bad, not only does it have no flow to it, but there are many occasions where you're going along, and if you happen to miss your braking point, you will then end up in the way of traffic going the other way. Like, it is so
the only
unsafe.
thing separating you is like 4 cones.
Right. Cones, exactly.
And
it
you
is
are
so
nose
unsafe.
to nose with the other another turn of the track.
And there are walls in tragic places. Like, it is a dangerous place. And lots to mention, even if it wasn't dangerous, it's just no fun. So, yeah, Englishtown. Thumbs down.
The worst.
Chrissy, what do you think?
Okay, so I am going with NJMP Lightning. I think we all started, a bunch of us started there. That was our first track. It was my first track.
You have to say dong or non-dong, because that's really everything at NJMP.
That's the non-dong.
It's the dong.
It is the dong. I'm sorry, dong.
Yeah, and we're talking about, if you look at the track map sideways, that's what it looks like. So there are, 2 interesting, with air quotes, not really interesting turns on that course, and there's not really anything to it. So if you're doing endurance racing on this course, it's the worst. That's when we first started racing, trying to push ourselves, doing 4 hours, and I literally was driving because I was so bored because I didn't see cars forever, and then when I did see them, they passed me fast, and I was like, this is the dumbest thing ever. So
that was the opening AER race, right?
Yes,
where we tried.
There
were 22 cars. And ours was kind of the slowest. It was the slowest.
Oh, it was very slowest.
But yet we totally came in mid-pack in the field because we didn't crash or brake.
And everybody else crashed.
Very rainy. It was very rainy.
No, it did rain
one day.
some.
Yeah, right. It rained a lot.
But then, everybody, your phones had the social disease, not race. Anyway, so I
explain that real quick. I know we're going to go that far.
Fine.
Chris had a plug, and everyone who plugged with his wire or his dongle their phone died on Monday. So
Including
three of
mine.
us broke our phones.
It was at that race because
Yeah,
you
it was
could
at
call.
the race.
You all couldn't call. Like you couldn't call your wife.
It
We
was
were all
raining.
using each-
So
My
just
phone is
the
There were
tip.
10,000 flies everywhere.
Wrap your dongle if you're using a strange phone, folks. Otherwise,
Okay, so my backup. I know I'm not supposed to have a runner-up, but Autobahn North. So we went and did Autobahn at what was that? One lap. And so Chris and I always split the shift. So basically either he would drive first or I would drive first. And then, but at Autobahn, we drove both courses. So if I drove first, I went north. If he drove second, he drove south. So the north course is flat. It's boring. It's got about as many turns and nothing interesting as New Jersey. So I'm going Autobahn. Yes, Mental.
well, now in your every description of that track, you're 100% correct. What's interesting is if you go there during an actual race, the boringness of that track leads to some really interesting racing because you have to be, especially like the back part of it, the 290s, before you take the left onto the main straightaway.
Yep.
So there's it opens up from a racing standpoint some interesting racecraft opportunities. There's some chance to try some interesting stuff, but no, it is boring to drive.
Yeah,
Autobahn South is pretty decent, and then when they do the whole course together, that's probably pretty decent. But North on its own is like, eh.
Yeah,
Whole course together gets really interesting as you're making the transition because the transition from north to south, it's not even. So the right side of the car will drop before the left side, and it's coming off of a pretty fast straightaway, so it can be a little unsettling.
All right. So, Mental,
Yeah.
what's your least favorite track?
Well, and I put English down there too, but Jeff pointed out last week, it's not really a track. So you know what? To be original, Coda. Sorry. Great track. Glad I drove it. Boring in anything less than a Formula One car. And I drove that track in a Lamborghini, and it is 1 kilometer straightaway. The first time you crack those tops and you just run all the way down to warp speed in the Millennium Falcon, it's awesome. The 14th time, because there's no implied thrill. The runoffs are wide. It's everything that make it a really good Formula One track, make it really boring at our level for the stuff that we drive, other than the turn one, which is an over-the-shoulder left-hand blind corner. But the rest of the track is just snoozeville. And it's like Jeff said, why am I driving around these painted lines? I'm just going to cut straight through this pavement part that they painted up, and I'll shave 4 seconds off my lap.
Yeah. So let me do
come at me, bro. Coda.
Let me do a little listener feedback that will also end with "Come at me, bro." So Christopher Michael Sparky. I'm sorry, Chris. I keep reading your comments and I have no idea how to pronounce your last name. So he said, okay, controversial stance here. Lime Rock Park should be closed.
How dare
Why?
you, sir?
I know, exactly. Why? 1.5 mile track with not in my backyard noise and Sunday restrictions. It's only 7 turns. Not really. And many series don't go there since it has some inherent danger. There's no runoff going into the uphill.
I crashed
at the
there.
end of At the end of Big Bend, if you go off, you're usually going into the wall due to the wetness and the decline.
I almost crashed there.
Track records are less than a minute, so gaps between cars are even less than a minute. Track days, they're a little bit higher. Yes, it's very scenic. Yes, it has a great history, but he'd rather drive Thompson at the end of the state. Chris, that is bold fighting words. Because I'm not a fan of Thompson.
The whirling sound you hear is Paul Newman rolling over in his grave.
Oh, there you go. He says there are subtle nuances to the track. It isn't a bad track, but he'd rather be elsewhere. Strong statement. What's up next? It is least favorite facility, correct?
Yeah.
How about you start it up, Mental?
Okay, so everyone likes to grumble about CMP, and I'm not going to say it's unfounded grumbling about CMP, but when I drive my RV in there, I like that their paddock area is open and flat. Their electricity leaves so much to be desired. That is the most circuit breaker resetness course I think we ever camp at. But I'm with Jeff on not liking the Jefferson circuit at Summit Point. So that's where I'm going with.
But facility? Like
it's one building and
it's a mud pit.
In the middle of summer, they turn the heater on in the bathroom, and that is not what you do in West Virginia in the summer.
True.
But the bugs and flies there are really nasty because the field that you park in is a mud hole.
It is, and it's flooded, and that leads to it, and there's a lot of undergrowth, and the track itself kind of sketchy in parts where the trees are a little close to there. Yeah, the pit entry and exit, wasn't a big fan of that either. You're basically dumping cars onto the end of a pit where people are coming down there at full tilt. Not a fan at all.
Jefferson's the redheaded stepchild of Summit Point. I mean, it's complete afterthought.
Yeah. It is, and they're trying to turn it into a training circuit, and I think it's going to work from that aspect, but from a racing or a track day standpoint, it's garbage.
All right,
Chrissy?
who's next?
Chrissy?
Okay, I will go. I'm going to say Monticello.
Ooh, me too. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
All right.
my
So
God.
I wrote,
the $1 Million Country Club. There's some fighting words right there.
and I wrote my notes before Jeff did, so I take it. So I'm going to say our experience, and I think I'll bring up Monticello again because it was the worst for lemons. There was not enough space. Maybe it's fine if you go on a BMW SCCA day and there are 25 cars and you can all be in the same parking lot, but it was awful. It was or maybe if you just rent out the whole track and the track is yours and you have all the monies, then maybe it's okay. We never used so facility is what I'm saying. So if there were a couple of garages, I think we went into one of them for testing for tech. Yep. I think there were some bathrooms that had running water, maybe for those people that had extra money. And that's all.
only if you knew the special handshake.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying worst facility.
Yeah.
Jeff,
Let me jump in here because worst facility, Monticello. Yes, the grass was pretty, but the track was not that special. Young Chris Egan, engineering mind and non-vaping Subaru owner, said it's like they took a bunch of turns that might have been interesting in a track, but then just threw them all together with no rhyme or reason. Like there's no flow. And I agree with them. But here's the deal. Facility-wise, you lock us out of the bathroom on a freezing cold weekend. You expect us to pay for scratching a guardrail. F you posers. There's not enough space. There's not enough power. There's not enough anything. Take your fantastic track and shove it.
Oh, man.
Wow.
I like that. Drop the mic.
Mental, you open this one up.
We're gonna have a lot of dropping of the mic in this one. I think.
Mental, open this one up for me. CMP. It's not near anything at all. It's terrible. The paddock is it's open. Absolutely. It's not like very little of it's paved. There's like 3 power poles and then there's one 15 amp breaker. I think my residential suburban garage has more power than CMP does. The bathrooms are frightening. The Wi-Fi, they say, hey, free Wi-Fi here. I don't know if anyone's ever actually been able to connect to anything on that.
To call me, you had to drive a quad or something out to the street.
Yeah.
But it was a different place every time. Like I would have to drive around the quad, looking at my phone, waiting for it to show 2 bars so I could actually call you, right?
Yes.
The track surface is tragic. Like it used to be 36 grit sandpaper. Now it's like the surface of the moon, especially if you go walk the track. Seriously, if you walk the track, you feel
Mental and I ran it.
but it's gotten worse.
We did, but we had to replace our shoes after 2 laps. We actually wore them out.
We had no shoes on.
There's the swamp full of poisonous snakes. The track itself isn't really interesting. There's no elevation changes. There's 2 interesting corners. There's just no real redeeming quality about CMP except the people are pretty nice. That's it. And Steve Claim on the dishwasher fair, he agrees with me. He said least favorite toss up between CMP and Thompson, more specifically turn 12 at CMP. The track isn't too bad though; it's covered in sand. No, it's not sand, Steve. It's just the surface is that terrible. No matter how many times I've done it, I can never find a good line through 12. The only place I've ever spun in lemons, and that was funny because he came into the penalty box. I had to radio him, like, Steve, genuinely, do you know where it is? Because he'd never been.
That is true. That was the conversation in the paddock, and I was going to say as 3-Pedal Mafia and associates of 3-Pedal Mafia, we've had terrible luck at CMP.
Yeah.
We had to use the 2 Suburbans to straighten out the Honda after some guy said, I stopped for no reason entering into turn 12.
So you're like getting into all of the rest. You both have touched on rest of our show.
Yes. You're right. No, and I'll stop there. But yeah, so
all right.
Terrible luck at CMP.
Keep going.
We're going to go, Mental, you're going on a roll, so we're going to let you go the next with worst bathrooms.
All right. So, worst bathrooms. The birthplace of the Three Pedal Mafia and ultimately this show is the Shenandoah Circuit at Summit Point. And it is 2 toilet stalls, 1 shower, and a urinal in a cinder block building. And I can't imagine the ladies' room is much better.
There's 2 showers.
Yeah, my office
I never had this problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our bathrooms are always fine.
Because there's like 3 girls there. Because all the other,
Just saying.
Yeah. But the building itself, the cinder block building, which contains both of them, is probably the size of my living room. And by the end of the weekend, if you didn't bring your own toilet paper, well, son, you were in a world of hurt. Because, I am absolutely certain that's where they filmed the last Saw movie, was the bathrooms at the Shenandoah Circuit.
I wrote the exact same thing. I said worst bathroom is actually the showers at Shenandoah. 2 stalls of toilets next to 2 showers, all sharing the same concrete floor, and it slants to the toilets. So the toilets have like 2 inches of water. It's the same puddle through the whole building, and the snack shack is the same building. So the smell of that, like Netzel says, where they filmed Saw, like it permeates the snack shack. It's terrible.
We never went to the snack shack because we had amazing meals there.
No. I don't know. And whoever these people are that show up at the racetrack and they do that crap where they have to line the toilet seat with toilet paper, like, I don't know what you're trying to prevent right there. What kind of open sores you have on your butt that you're worried that toilet paper is going to fix. But it all ends up in like this paper mache, like, fort on the sides of the toilet by the end of the weekend because it's all soaking wet. It's like
that sounds terrible.
It's a vinegar and water volcano experiment.
All right. So, Chrissy, which one do you think's the worst?
So I'm going Button Willow. So Button Willow, supposedly, used to have the toilets that turned off. The toilets. They were in individual, their own doors. So there wasn't a stall. It was one of those like brick buildings, but there were probably 10 maybe. About that, Chris?
Yep.
Yeah, so there's 5 on each side of a brick building, and they had their own doors, and it was men and women, no discrimination there. So basically, once you walked in, you closed the door, the lights turned off in 10 seconds.
She's not kidding, really.
I'm not kidding.
No, and there is a hysterical comic strip on our Facebook page from Vincent Parker that says pooping at Button Willow.
He's not originals, but I was going to do a shout out to him. Thank you for posting that cartoon because it is a guy that I don't even know if it's on here, but basically there's a guy that's sitting there, and then the next one he's the lights turn off, and then he's waving his hands, and the light turns back on. So that's what that little comic strip is.
It's like pooping, dark, wave your hands, pooping.
And Chris and I have done this. Like you do that. Like it takes you longer to go, and you just have to do that. So
you have to dance to take a crap.
Or just go to the bathroom. Apparently, and just about all of them were clogged by the weekend.
Why do you need your lights on to poop? I would just for cleanup. I could go with it.
All of a sudden you're in the dark. You just like in the light, and then you're in the dark. Like I feel like
it's not just dark. When it goes off, it is pitch black. Like can't see your. I mean,
you're in a closet, right? There is no light.
You're already sitting, right? It's not like you have to aim.
All right,
no,
Mental's
wrong.
Sit dark and poop on your own.
Anyway, so. All right, so Vincent Parker posted the picture that I wanted him to, so that's awesome. And then Neil Lozzi had said that they fixed the issue, and now the cartoon doesn't apply, and everybody's sad. So that's why I'm saying that he was like, no, seriously, it's not like that anymore. So that's a little bit sad, but it's, the kind of the Button Willow joke. And then so a couple of the listener feedback, we have Johan who said Button Willow is the worst, and he said one word, dust, which is totally true. And then there's a whole bunch more Button Willow comments of why maybe not just the worst bathroom, but other ones on why it's not the best.
I'll add Mark Furman's comments. This is great. The showers are located outside in the open, which they are. They're the end of the brick building. There's 2 like water spigots sticking out of the cinder blocks, and that's the showers. Don't think there's any other showers.
When we went there in December,
there's no curtains. There's these 2
during the
spigots.
Day. When we went there during the day, it was like 30, 40 maybe in the day. But you didn't want to shower outside in
No.
cold water with a spigot hanging out the wall.
Just sticking out of the wall. Like the only one that's ever used it is Spank, because in a summer race when it's 110, he gets funky enough that he's like, I don't care. So, yeah. So my least favorite.
It's like 8th grade gym class where you're showering in your bathroom in your bathing suit.
Sure.
Yeah, except at a paddock of 1,000 people. So my least favorite bathrooms, Nelson Ledges. We were there to pick up the Wartburg. It was basically a pit dug into the ground.
Can you please pronounce that track like Eric Rude does?
How does he do-
Nelson's Ledges.
Nelson's Ledges? Okay, yes, I guess that's a Midwest thing.
Nelson's Legends.
So Nelson Ledge, it was a pit in the ground. The sink was basically a 5-gallon bucket with a trickle running into it. The funk as you walked by the shanty of a bathroom without even going in was appalling, and that's even by Lemon standards. It was tragic, just really, really tragic. And Mike Berg commented, he said, the worst facilities have to be Nelson Ledges. The mosquitoes and the tire barrier are a free bonus. So, yeah, I've never seen anything. It's like third world kind of things. You know, you're better off like pooping in the open in the middle of the field, I think, like you're in India.
I think that's frowned upon.
Yeah, but it might be safer and cleaner.
Oh.
All right, what's next?
I said there might be some crossover here. Worst paddock.
Yeah, Chris and I are in agreement on this one.
Should I just keep going with this one?
Yeah, if you got it.
Absolutely.
I think the worst paddock I've experienced was Chuckwalla. This place is in the middle of the desert in Arizona. And when we went there, the paddock was a square of pavement that was about half the size it needed to be. And they had just made these new bathrooms for it, which were all very nice. Actually, they were quite nice, except that they didn't actually have any power. There was a Yamaha 3,000 watt generator out the back that they plugged it in. That powered the bathroom, which wasn't big enough. And then over the weekend, it ran out of gas, and of course, no one came to attend to it. But fortunately, Lemons Racers, we fixed it. We got it going again, right? But that was it. It just
was that operating like the pumps and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So like
Yeah.
when the power went down, you couldn't even flush.
No. Like there was a tank of water that held the water, and I mean this place really is the middle of the desert, but it had nothing.
I'm betting after the Lemons Racers fixed it, it probably ran better and more efficiently, the generator, but was only worth like $250 when they were done.
And the quick story about this is that they have some travel trailers there that you could rent. And Jay rented some, and they stayed there the first night, Jay and Phil, and the traveler trailer fortunately came empty of water but full of poo. So it was wonderful. So
oh no, God! Jeff. I was drinking my water. I almost spit it on the computer.
So Jay declined to stay the second night there. It was so cold though that we heard there was an empty free travel trailer, and Jay's like, "Yeah, sure." So we squatted in Jay's travel trailer because it had heat. We didn't care that it was full of poo and out of water.
We were in a tent in the middle of the desert, and it was so windy. We had to use our rental car to block the wind, and that didn't help. It was so cold. Okay, so
December.
I'm also agreeing with Chuckwalla. As Chris said, it had a tiny paddock, but it had no power. It had no lights, it had no garages, and it had no water. So it was one of those places where just like Monticello, they painted the lines and said, you have this one car spot and that's all you have. And like there was no driving around
no grass areas to just park wherever.
There was a concrete pad in the middle of the desert, and then there was a drop off into the sand, right? Like that's all you had. So our listener feedback is Johan, who said he agreed that Chuckwalla is the worst track. And so the layout is somehow too busy. Oh, this is for the track. But he said that also Chuckwalla is the worst. And they were trying to make the track technical, but it wasn't as good. And so
Chuckwalla basically sucks all around. I think that's what I'm hearing.
I thought the track was decent, but the facility is tragic.
Awful. But it's close to Palm Springs, and I really enjoyed Palm Springs. So,
Mental, you got a worst paddock?
Worst paddock is, and it's a shame because it's a great track, family-run track, great grill, great place to go. Pueblo Motorsports Park, just outside of Pueblo, Colorado. And the reason it's a terrible, terrible paddock is the entire infield is covered in this Canadian thistle. which these giant
Does it
thorns.
speak French? Is that what? Is that what it's Canadian?
Oh,
It's these
I
giant.
like bread.
It is arrogance. Get off
it
of
is
this is my
arrogant.
grass. I am a thistle.
It's this giant invasive weed with thorns that will go through your sneakers. They are long enough to puncture a pair of Chuck Taylors. And you don't know this till you're walking along, and it makes it all the way through and is poking your bottom of your foot while you're walking.
That's got to be the French Canadian thistle, because the regular Canadian thistle would be, sorry about
sorry,
that.
Sorry.
So sorry.
The regular Canadian thistle looks like Timbits. It's great. People eat it. But yeah, no, the French Canadian thistle, it's a constant pain in the bottom of your foot. So yeah, but go there, have fun, just wear boots the whole time, no matter how hot it is.
Jeff, what do you think?
Well, I had CMP as the worst paddock. Lots of sand, bugs, no real garages, and 4 electrons that you have to share between everybody.
You mean?
But I do want to give some quick listener feedback. Ben Dawson, who listens to our show, said he did not like NCM. And he said the worst facilities attached to a great competition track is CMP. And I said, well, what the hell CMP track was he on? Because I didn't think the track was that great either. But Ben, I'm glad
NCM's facilities were decent. There was a bunch of
Yeah,
garages.
they
They're
were
in good
fantastic.
shape. There's a
Yeah,
nice
the
viewing
bathrooms.
spot along the main window. The bathrooms are in good shape. There's a kart track right there. I thought it was very nice.
I think it's
Now that kart track is a lawsuit waiting to happen. But yeah,
Oh, yeah. But it was there.
I think he was saying, like, did not like NCM, period. Worst facilities attached to a great competition track is CMP.
Yeah.
So I just don't
Yeah.
know what he thinks is a great competition track, because I do not. I also think, and this we didn't mention, I think CMP is very narrow. All the places where I want to pass, it's like hard to get 2 cars through the turns sometimes.
That's true. That's true. All right, where are we at here? Are we
Best overall or worst overall experience?
okay? I'm going to just say CMP, not because of the track itself, because we've always had bad luck.
Chris,
Yeah,
wanna go?
you forgot to
Yeah.
mention that we melted the boat motor there.
Yeah.
Melted
Melted
the boat,
everything.
blew up
I'll-
the truck, got
I'll get
the
to that. Hang
Honda
on.
dinged up. Yeah, all of that.
I'm gonna say my
Shut up, mental.
worst experience is just Englishtown. It's so terribly tragic, and not only that, it's in New Jersey. So
Like the part of New Jersey that New Jersey makes fun of too.
oh yeah,
Terrible
It's-
part of Jersey,
it's
and I'm
terrible.
from Jersey.
All right, Jeff, what about you?
I'm going to beat you. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
No Problem Raceway. Do you remember No Problem Raceway?
Oh.
No Problem Raceway in New Orleans. Where is it, Mental? I don't even know where it is.
No,
It's in a swamp.
It is
It's in a swamp.
And what I want to add
good
is
one.
when we were doing our best track episode, Dr. Mary Elizabeth Harris pointed out. She said, "Ask me
Dr. Mom.
about." Dr. Mom asked me. She said, "Ask me about No Problem Raceway when we're at NOLA," because she had nothing nice to say about No Problem Raceway, and she's driven a few tracks in her time.
So it's a fake road course. It somehow goes over a drag strip. So it's like everything that's bad about Englishtown, except they actually use part of the drag strip as the road course. By the way, the mosquitoes were bigger than the wartburg. Not one, but 2 cars there. It was terrible.
Oh,
Yeah, when we
that's
were leaving,
epic. That's a good call.
Yeah, the mosquitoes. When we were driving through it, it was exactly like driving through a snowstorm in the Northeast. Like you see them going past your car, like when the Millennium Falcon goes to hyperspace. That was the mosquitoes.
I was thinking of the old school Windows screensaver.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
yes,
yeah,
yeah. That was
That's
a good way to put
exactly
it.
what it looked like. Okay,
Woo!
so I'm going Monticello because when we were there, it was very, very cold. It was so cold. We stayed inside most of the time, and then we were outside. We wore all kinds of layers. We also had some pretty bad car issues there, but we were parked literally the farthest away from the track. We were on the corner of the farthest place. In the farthest place. There was
5
one
minutes just to get to our paddock from the track.
basically, yeah. Yeah, no, it really was. And so I think there was one porta potty. Maybe there were 2 for about 500 people. I don't know how many were down in that lower lot. There was
Because they expected you to bring your $200,000 RV. So
Well, we
No,
did.
no.
We brought 2 of them, but still.
Because they gave you 10 feet of space to park said RV.
yeah.
Remember
And we
they had like all the lines?
a one tiny parking spot. There was no water. There was no electric. And if I recall correctly, they were kind of nasty people. I feel like the people there were not really nice to us. So
that's why I said F you posers, because
Sure.
they were the problem.
Going over Montello.
I just want to also mention that Monticello was where we built the hella sweet, like we took all the extra radiator hoses and exhaust bits and plumbed the RV generator exhaust like away from the kitchen.
Oh,
Does anyone
yes.
remember
Yes.
that?
Because the wind was so bad that we
Everything we could find.
It was like blowing the exhaust right into our face.
Every time you cooked, we were in the wind and we couldn't stay out of the wind, and either you were standing in the freezing cold to cook. Yeah, it was
I think we
just
found an extra
terrible.
muffler to put on it, like off a motorcycle that Bruce had in his trailer, because of course.
Because Bruce has everything in this trailer,
Everything
yes.
in
All
this
right.
trailer.
Now we're at to worst track location. And I'm going to say Chuckwalla again, because it is 45 minutes from the nearest town, really. I think the only thing nearby it is meth. And
I think there's a big dinosaur.
I was going to say your description of Chuckwalla kind of made it sound like Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
So I'm glad
Oh,
it
it
is. Oh, it
yeah.
is. Yeah. That's exactly what
it's
it
in the middle
is.
of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. There's like, Chrissy's like, oh, it's near Palm Springs. That was like 2 hours away.
Well, okay, we went to
and that
Palm
was
Springs
very
after
nice.
we raced there, so
yeah,
it was
we had
fine.
a cool hotel. It was fun, but Chuckwalla is absolutely in the absolute middle of nowhere. Like, there's a beautiful view at night. Actually, there's lots of stars, but that's about the only thing I can say redeeming about the quality of Chuckwalla.
I'm glad you. Well, it's. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Breaking Bad minus the mountains or anything else.
Yes.
I mean, there's mountains like far away, but like it's like a whole heck of a lot of desert.
Jeff, what do you think?
I'm probably going to get my butt kicked for this, but I'm going to say the worst track location was Barber. And all you have to do is check out episode 22 to hear about us and our truck to find a place to watch the freaking Super Bowl. And we're getting like dry counties and dry bars and
like it.
bars that you can catch a knife at.
That was
No.
all of you guys
It's
in
the
your hatred
location.
of Buffalo Wild Wings.
No, it's the location. That was the
Buffalo
problem.
Wild Wings 10 minutes from there that would have had the game on, but you guys all hate that.
Barber was amazing. The location did not have a bar for us.
Fair enough.
Mental, you got something on this one?
High Plains Raceway, which I actually was there when they were building it. It's a great track, but as Christopher Champion said, excellent ribbon of pavement cursed with geographic irrelevance.
Oh, I like it.
Like that. I was gonna say I did. Are we ready for the next question? I'm sorry.
No, I didn't go, but
Oh, go! I thought you were on a.
So ignoring Chrissy again, Jeff. We're not having that.
Fine.
So,
Okay, so I am going to go with the worst track location as CMP. I feel like it's not close to anything. Track is far away from the highway. You have to drive forever to get to the highway, and it kind of goes over hill and dale over that way. The whole track is a flat field, and even Camden, which is next closest town, is basically nothing, even though they love us and they host a parade for us. So I'm going worst track location as CMP.
Yeah, the only reason we go is for the freaking parade and party. So
yeah, that's true.
Which is worth the trip, but yeah, other than that.
Absolutely. If you've never been to CMP and you don't like your tires, yeah, go on down. Have a good time.
Absolutely.
Okay,
All
Jeff.
right. I wrote the last question, and I think this is important because I want all the track managers to listen and fix their freaking crap. All right?
it.
Some experiences suck and are unavoidable, like the deer, Shenandoah. Some of them are totally avoidable. What is the worst experience at a track that was totally avoidable if somebody cared? Mental, go first if you're not chewing.
So I've been telling this story for years, but everyone who's ever raced Eagles Canyon knows exactly who I'm talking about. And there was an old guy when lemons first started coming there. So you'd be refueling at Eagles Canyon in Decatur, Texas, and this guy would ride over on his four-wheeler in the hot pits while you were there in full gear and scream at you because the visor was cracked on your helmet. And it's because you're refueling. Now, normally this is a perfectly acceptable thing because you're trying to be safe, except he'd come over with a Marlboro hanging out of his mouth and go, "You're being dangerous. You guys want to be on fire?" This guy was such a jerk. Every time we raced at Eagles Canyon, one time he was trying to load his four-wheeler in the back of his pickup truck, and he had one of those fold-out ramps, and he's trying to drive the four-wheeler up into the back of his pickup truck.
Watch them on the video all the time.
And the four-wheeler is almost flipping over a couple of times. And watching him do this is probably about, I'd say, 70 Lemons racers. Not one single person offered to go over there and help him do it. Not one. So at Lemon's race, you could be like the worst person ever, but they'll come over there and help you fix your car. But no, everyone sat there with their arms crossed, looked at them and go, I hope the damn thing flips over. I do. I honestly hope it flips over.
Everybody pulls out their phone like, world star!
So the upside is, now we have great guys like Dale and, my mind's going blank, the other one
Ken.
who was just down. Thank you. Fantastic guys who will come over and say, hey, man, I need you to do this. Keep yourself safe. And if you're a habitual offender, then you're going to have a talk with the judges. But they're more of a safety mindset and making sure you have a good time than they are about, you're being dangerous. So that was my worst experience at a racetrack. And that's across all series, not just Lemons, just across the board.
Yeah. Mine's a kind of a tie between two. I'll keep them both quick. We had one race at CMP. We blew everything up. We melted the engine of the boat. Like literally, we melted the valves. They sucked.
It's so
in.
nice that you said we.
Because we know it was Jeff.
So nice that you said
Hey,
we.
I'm being polite. The Civic got rear-ended hard and then blew a head gasket. And it had
God,
some
I didn't
cord,
even remember
right?
the head gasket.
Right. The TR put a rod through the block.
Yep.
It was just a
My
tragic,
BMW got totaled
weekend.
because it fell off the trailer.
Yep, all that. And then the other time is New Jersey's ever-changing policy on track walks and passengers. One time coming into the track, I had emailed the guy ahead of time saying I really would like to have instructors to learn the course. He said, okay, yep, we're going to do it this time. Come the day of it. Nope, can't do it. And then we wanted to do a track walk because track walks are hugely valuable. If you don't do them regularly, you are missing out. There's so much to learn. So we were ready to do a track walk at the end of the day. They said, nope, track's closed. You know why? Because they had an effing Harley parade tour laps. And these were like the worst of the worst. Get your Harley out and go blah, 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 and drive around at 20 miles an hour with some fat, old, disgusting woman with no top on practically on the back of this stupid, ridiculous, slow, archaic piece of junk. And that's why we couldn't walk the track. F you.
I have never seen you that angry. You are usually the most even-keeled person on the team. Wow. That's He's actually red-faced right now, listeners. You guys can't see it. He is genuinely wound up about it.
Chrissy, you go next because then I'll go and then you can do just a tip.
Okay, so I didn't realize what Chris's story was, and I'm going along pretty much with the same thing except different track. New Hampshire Motorsports. They said they love Lemons. We did two races there per year for a while, down to one. Nice people. They seemed to like us well enough. But they took away having passengers. So we used to go there and rely on that was one of the races that we knew that we could have passengers. And that we value that so much in trying to learn the track. And that it was a disservice to racers, potential racers, and Lemon folk that just found that was a good value. So I think that's my one, and I'm not nearly as fired up as Chris is. But as Mental was saying about
Stupid
you being
Harley
dangerous.
Just mostly just Harley people.
Okay, fine. You might be angry.
Darren.
The 11th listener or something like that.
Yeah.
But
Go vape something with your orange truck, Darren.
Okay. Hold on. So I am making a runner-up, and this is along the lines of what Mental said of You're Being Dangerous, is the guy that used to be at NJMP who did gear tech, and he was nitpicking, and he would nitpick every single thing, and you have a nick in your helmet, fail. This is failure. Like, how you must have fallen and gotten hit, and, that little tear in your jacket, oh, no, you're done. Yeah, so he's my other worst experience that is annoying.
He told me because our Civic's a little tight. When I get out, I actually hit the bar with my head, as does everybody. And he literally looked at me and he said, "Tell the kids to stop playing soccer with your helmet. That's not what it's for." And I was like, "Yeah, shut up. There's nothing wrong with it. It's all nicked up. You clearly were in an accident. No, it's scratched."
And mine, because I had a matte finish on my first helmet, not this current one, it used to happen a lot. Even if it just fell off the chair.
Heal, yeah.
Yeah, right, because it was just the finish coming off.
Well, we have a sharp edge where the weather stripping used to be on the Civic, and when you're belting somebody in, you pretty much scrape the back of your head.
There you go. That's what it is. Yeah.
It wasn't even.
Yeah. So here's what I'm going to say. Anytime that you receive a surprise bill, somebody's trying to shake you down, the New Jersey high hand, whatever you want to call it. I'm spending a lot of money on this weekend. I don't need some jerk off coming up asking for $100.
Wade's towing at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. Stop stealing my thunder. So I love the people at Thompson. They love us. The track manager laughs at all of my jokes.
He's creeped out by you, though.
He is creeped out. He's totally creeped out. I do it on purpose. They won't let us fill the tub, but anyway, I put a little dent in the entryway of the garage.
Oh,
this is not a It was.
It was pretty tiny,
Chrissy.
actually.
It was not that big, and they came out and they said we need $100. And Dan, I love you, Dan. If you're listening, he pulled out his credit card. He put the $100 down. This might even be tolerable if they were going to fix it. But we've gone back every year. We use the same garage, and the dent is still there. What did you take the $100 for, jerk off? Look, this isn't even the worst. We heard that scratching the Armco at Monticello was going to cost like $100 a foot. Don't know if that was real because we didn't hit anything. But the worst, and Mental said it, is the shakedown for $100 tow strap at Atlanta. What was the name of that towing company?
Wade's Towing. Wade's Towing. Yep.
He literally shook down one of our drivers for $100. Attempted. Yeah. Did not get the $100 because he ran over the strap.
Which he didn't do.
He didn't do. We covered that in previous shows. You asked, how come this is always $100? You know why? Because it's a bullshit charge. There it is. I'm
this
done.
Is so funny how mic drops all over the place. There's so much fury around here.
And all that, and a subject to get angry about. It's time for our favorite subject. No one likes this. Just the
tip.
You want to get shook out for $100? Here comes just the tip.
Yep.
Chrissy, make it $100 just the tip.
So it only costs $100 to get just the tip?
You know what? But I'm not going to give you anything even if you give it to me, so it's going to be fine.
We're so far down the rabbit hole. Tell us about safety.
Anyway, we're going to talk tips for when you're going to a new track. Kind of stuff we talked about before, but really thinking about all these places that some of us have gone before and not. Here's some ideas. Okay, so our biggest thing is do some research. When you go and look at the website for the track, not just go through the Lemons info on their page on all the. They try to give you like the cliff notes. Go to the web page for the actual track. See what they say that they have. Print and get a PDF of the facilities. And added to that, ask around. So post on, if you're going to one that you're not familiar with, post on one of the Facebook groups, Lemons Forum, something like that. If you're so inclined and think it's one of these places that we've listed, ask us. We'll try to help you out. And look at it on Google Maps because that will figure out what's close by, kind of do some mapping with the actual map, or go on and flip it to the terrain and figure out what kind of places you're going on. I encourage you to very much study the actual track. We probably have talked about this a few times, but really important. Watch some video, get the paper map, try to figure out where you're going because you're going to have a better time when you get there if you know what you're looking at and have an idea. Although that makes me think of when we tried to watch the video for NCM before we got there, and we really had no idea what we're doing because it's very, very confusing. Bring more than you think you need. As we've talked about all of these situations, especially tonight's, you may not know where you're going to get your sources of water. You not know where the electric is, how close you're going to get, how close you are to park to everything. And once you get there, just be prepared. Bring all the stuff that you think you don't need. And actually study the actual paddock on Google Maps and then figure out where everything is in relation to it and understand what the layout is. So they're my ideas.
Most important in understanding the layout is know which track you're going to. Because there's Atlanta Motorsports Park and Road Atlanta and Atlanta. I actually didn't know which track we were going to. I watched the wrong damn videos.
I was thinking more of like when you go to Summit and you're looking at the 3 different tracks, figure out which track you're going to.
No,
this is actually the wrong track.
3 main racetracks in Atlanta, and they only use 4 words to delineate between them.
Atlanta Motorsports Park, Road Atlanta, and what's the other one?
Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Atlanta Motor Speedway. I almost sent the shocks to the wrong place.
Oh, good. Mental, you had one more thing to add in the middle of this. What was that?
Well, I was going to say, like she was saying, it is important to be familiar with the racing surface, and I was going to say do a track walk unless it's full of gay Harleys.
Yep.
And I don't mean gay Harleys in the sense of homosexuals. God. Homosexuals are perfectly acceptable, but a bunch of fags on Harleys in the South Park sense. Chris, you got
absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, so while we're on that note, we're going to talk about next week's episode and the graceful art of, shall we say, blurring the lines. That's right. We're going to talk about cheating. Now, we don't want you to come on the show.
$500 my ass!
We don't want you to come on the show and tell us how you're cheating. But if you'd like to email us at everyone.racers and give us some of your little tips and tricks, and then tell us by the pseudonym that you'll be known so that we don't call you out. And not just lemons, any track. But if you want to go onto our Facebook page, everyone.racers, or Instagram or Twitter at everyone.racers, and you can tell us how you know good and darn well other teams are cheating. So go ahead and call out those other teams about cheating. And we're going to talk about some, shall we say, creative tactics for diversion that we've used ourselves. So next week, folks, again, it's all about cheating. So give us get on our social media, give us some input, talk to us about the show. But I believe you have, well, probably more than a commute this time. You're probably sitting in your driveway at the house and your kids are looking at you wondering why you haven't walked inside yet.
I can already foresee it. It's like Dr. Johan would like to tell us about how to make a Volkswagen go really fast.
He has no idea. None at all. So, Piano Cat, why don't you play us out?
There it is. Thank you for downloading us. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. We also hope you'll join us in the world of driving, racing, and building, because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe with the button on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. If you have any questions, you already heard it. Mental told you. Drop it on our Facebook page or everyone.racers@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening. Until next week, keep the shiny side up. Hit us up on Instagram, Twitter, everything else. Unless there is no shiny side, then just keep the wheels down.